Call the meeting to order.
Jenkins?
Here.
Hahn?
Here.
Hardin?
Here.
McKinley? Testori?
Here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing that we have on this evening's agenda is the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I have a question about the consent agenda. We're paying these bills here.
Yes.
Do they come in more itemized than that?
The answer would be this is no. I mean, this is how it came. So.
I understand they have to be paid, but we're looking at surely bulk purchases from different places for several, for more than pennies. You got $1,000, $4,000. I just wonder what this money is.
I'm not sure if that's the case.
I wonder if we know what they're.
Is that the case that these are?
Well, I don't know exactly what in particular he would be looking at.
Like, if you look down here to Hammer Lawn Service.
Yes, that's 2 months worth of mowing.
You got $12.60, then you have another bill from Hammer Lawn Service for $630, which means that it is not bulked together right there, that they're separated right here. I believe that these are all separated. So each one would be a specific bill. We generally do not, we do not receive, of course, the breakdown of the bill as they receive it, but each line item represents one bill.
So is somebody reviewing what's being spent on what? Is that?
The supervisors prepare a purchase order. If it's over a specific dollar amount, then they have to come in, and then I have to review it and authorize it, yes.
What's the dollar amount?
I can spend up to $10,000 without council approval.
What about the supervisors?
The supervisor's going to spend $500.
Okay. I was just curious because we consent to pay this all the time. I thought, I don't really know what I'm paying other than just the total.
Well, I mean, do you have a question about a specific item that, I mean...
No.
Okay. Overall, these will be the bills that we receive, and they fall, of course, within the guidelines of the budget that we pass. If there's any time that you see a particular bill on here that you would that you'd like to have the breakdown, then you may feel free to seek Larry about that. If you're wanting to speak about that bill at the city council meeting, I would recommend that you, prior to the meeting, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, ask him about it. That way he can bring the paperwork.
I'm not.
No, it's fine. Any other questions?
No, that was it. I just wanted to make sure somebody was looking at this that was reviewing it. That's we're just consenting to pay it.
Yes, sir. Call it.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Hahn?
Yes.
Hardin?
Yes.
McKinley?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Motion carried.
There being no unfinished business, we move to section 3, new business.
Make a motion to go into executive session, personnel, to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, and/or performance of specific employees pursuant to section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
Second.
Call it.
Hahn?
Yes.
Hardin?
Yes.
McKinley? Testori?
Yes.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We are now in executive session, so now in open session. And that moves us to the city manager's report.
Got a couple things here. It seemed that there's been a request from Party in a Pinch. She'd like to get a caterer's license through the city of Farmer City. She has several different events coming up, some big ones here in July. And with a lot of those, obviously, they'd like to have refreshments, some soft alcohol served. So I did do some research. According to the Illinois Liquor Code, there is a section set up for caterers, and I made a quote there of the wording of that in the state liquor code. She would have to apply for the state license, so that's a $200 fee. We would have to make an amendment and actually create a caterer's license in our liquor ordinance. So I told her, because there again, she said she has some big events coming up in July. So I told her that we would have that prepared, and I'd be bringing that back to you. So now you have the basics of it, so you've got a couple of weeks to be digesting that. So when we bring it back at you at the next council meeting, you know basically what that's about.
Another question.
Yes, sir.
She wants to do this because she's having events here in town, is that right?
That's correct. Her local caterer's license would only be for the events that she's having here in town. Her state license would allow her, so she used, I don't know if it was another community. She went to Villa Grove because she could buy a license there, a temporary license there, and still have her state license to support that. She realizes she has to have the jam shop insurance and all that. She's already checked into that. The second one, which actually just came in today, was there was a request from the Garden House. That's the flower shop down here in the block. Brenda told me that in the summer months, business is pretty strained, and that there are several ladies that would like to partake in the video gaming, and that but they don't like to go into a bar. They like to go into the privacy of a facility and have video gaming. And by the same token, she would like to have wine or something there for them to be able to consume while they're doing the video gaming. We do have a license that is available that could be used for that. It's the A1, I'm sorry, A1. And she's aware of that. She's already trekked into the jam shop. She's already had the gaming commission guy down there and inspected her facility. So maybe giving you a little bit more follow-up on that one here in a little bit. So I have no idea how many machines she'd put in there. That would be between her and the gaming board.
She might put in 5, can't she?
I think that's the maximum, yes.
But these are people she doesn't think would go to the bars. It's not going to interfere with the bars
That's
business.
correct. That's correct.
Or the Hucks.
Oh, kind of an older setting, Scott.
We're going to have another one come and ask us too in time. I think Casey's going to come and ask us.
I don't think Casey's does video gaming. I haven't been in a Casey's anywhere to see video gaming, and I've been in a lot of them.
The gaming board limit the number of machines that we can have in a local area. I would think that would kind of saturate the territory. and
Running the state
kind of
back
take
on
away.
They don't care.
See, that's one thing, because you got the
American
American
Legion.
Legion, you got 2 bars at Hucks, and
Unless you create a license to stop somebody, if
There's
they're
already-
in the state.
there's already been a fuss about the American Legion in the bars.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure how a 4th one will be received.
And I had a little conversation with her, and she understands that there could be some backlash, but something that she really wants to do.
Where'd the A1 license come from?
It's on the books. It's been on the books for quite a while.
Is that a particular type of alcohol, or?
It's just for consumption there on the premises.
Everything.
That beer and wine, or is that liquor?
Yes,
that'd be everything.
Everything?
That's everything.
Yeah, everything.
And
It's right there.
I've not been in there.
She,
I've,
the flower shop?
Yeah.
She has a room in the back
Yes.
that was remodeled, and that's where she'd like to put it there again. Now, the state's already been there. She realizes she has to put in the surveillance equipment. There's a lot of expense that she would have to go through to make it work. It's something she's wanting to do, so.
How long was this A1 license been created?
I don't know, that's why I grabbed the book, in case there was a question about it, because I learned. I don't think I have flag, Sandy, I'm sorry. 92, I think, is the section.
Is there an ordinance that limits the number of bars or alcohol serving type of establishments that we can
The
have?
different
We have a
licenses.
number of licenses available, yes.
Right, but there's not a general ordinance that said Farm City won't entertain more than 4 bars.
Nope.
Okay,
But if you don't create additional licenses, then you don't need such an ordinance.
okay, I understand.
That's why I'm wondering how it's created. the time, they're knocked out. The bar closed up, it was banned. With licenses, and there's only so many, you can be so many taverns, and so many liquor stores.
You know,
So
so
they package, so
You
they,
want to read this to them, or you want me to?
You can, you got to
Class A1 licenses which shall authorize the retail sale on the licensed premises specified of alcoholic liquor for consumption on the licensed premises without the package sales of such alcoholic liquor. The semi-annual fee for such licenses shall be $400. In addition to the foregoing, a Class A licensee may purchase a Sunday sales option for the additional semi-annual fee of $50, which option shall allow the licensee the right to sell alcoholic liquor on Sundays as set forth in state statutes 1, or our statutes 110.40E.
When was that? 1997? Was that dated?
1995.
95. So that's how long it's.
well, okay, that's been there, Larry. I mean, that just says, but it doesn't say how many licenses we have out there. I mean, how many licenses?
There is a section in there that states how many different licenses.
Number of licenses. The city, no more than a total of 2 Class A or Class A1 licenses, 3 Bs, 2 Cs, 2 Ds, 2 Es, and 1 F. The last time that
Read that
was
again,
2 As and or Class A1 licenses, 3 Bs, 2 Cs, 2 Ds, 2 Es, and 1 F.
And when was that adopted?
Well, the last update was in '03.
we
But
could
it was
have,
adopted in
We have
'95.
to create another one just to look at this.
It says and or.
so we could have 10 liquor establishments in Farmer City. If they buy that.
Used to have more than 10, Scott.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Scott, on that? Okay. Police
When-
department,
real quick, when will this be coming before us?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is this something you've seen yourself, been down there and looked the situation over? It's hard for me to visualize a flower shop in a, I don't know what you would call it.
Understand. Yes. I was down there today and talked to her, so.
There's a deep back room in it. She's got a counter, and then she's got a cooler back behind her, maybe on the side too. And you can walk back in the back end is part where she is, and it's pretty deep back in there.
All completely remodeled.
It's-
Something else? Police department's added a part-time police officer right at 2 weeks ago. Josh McLean was brought on board. Josh had applied here with the city of Farmer City a couple of years ago. He is a Farmer City resident. Josh had asked the city to put him through the part-time training program. The city didn't have the funds to do that. Quite frankly, we've never sent anybody through the part-time training academy. Josh got hired by Warrensburg, and Warrensburg supported him in getting him through the program. He currently works here, hasn't put in a lot of hours yet. He's going through an internal FTO program with the police chief and some of the other officers. He works at Warrensburg and Oakwood. Josh is lives down on Water Street. I don't know if you know him or not.
I've got with the FOP, we need to look into this, because if we start, I'm just leery of working him so many hours and then we have to do something.
Part-time employees are not covered in any means through FOP.
Okay, well, I just want to double check that.
For general order of police.
Yes,
that
sir.
would be-
Yes. Yes. Water department, there was a question the other day, and I think maybe the mayor might have sent me something that he had had an inquiry. Everybody wanted to know what was going on down there on Richardson Street. The water main, I think I reported to you, had been charged. Quite frankly, you got to get clear samples before you can go any farther. So it's been sitting there for a couple of weeks with the water in it. 2 bad samples came back. Calvin said he believes that that's because he drew the samples out of the fire hydrant. It was the only place that he could. Clear sample finally came back. EPA's given us the blessings. So now we've applied to get the license, to get the thing activated. Right now they're hooking up water taps. Today one water tap is hooked up. They think all the new service lines, residential service lines, can be installed this week. And then weather permitting, of course with that, and weather permitting, the terrace and the street will get put back in the following week, and we'll get that project wrapped up. Swimming pool opened as scheduled. The first day is always called free day. There was 25, 30 people up there in that bitter cold water. But the guys, as Danny Frost will fix that one buckle spot for us. Everything seems to be going good. We've had Mike Inger up there and had some small plumbing issues, which would stand to reason, but everything seems to be going good. Electric department has been working with the contractor out there at Casey's. If you drive past Winger Motors, you'll see that there's a light pole right there at the end of Water Street where water meets 54. It's got an X on it. That's where the new service line will begin. They'll set a new pole there, and they're actually hoping that maybe Casey's contractor will put that in underground for the city. So they've been pretty good. They're actually going to bore the water lines and the electric underneath the concrete approach from the state. That, and if you drive up down Main Street, you see that the guys have been painting curbs, cleaning the curbs and weeds and stuff, getting ready for Heritage Days. So, and they're calling for rain. So, that's what I have for you.
Any questions to the city manager's report? Non-agenda items and other business?
Oh, we can talk about the this working lunch thing. And I think Scott had pointed out about I've always questioned that, why there has been a working lunch and whether it came about. I just think that maybe you got to think about changing that.
I did some ridiculous math on it real quick, and if everybody takes an hour a day, times the number of working days, that's $180,000 to the city for lunches. And that's just ridiculous. Right? If they take a half-hour lunch, it's half of that.
But we don't know how. I mean, you said that there's nothing that has in our policies that says this is the amount of time that you have for lunch, correct? There's nothing that's written down. So, according to Illinois state law, Illinois law requires employers to permit employees who are to work 7.5 continuous hours or more to take a meal period of at least 20 minutes. And that meal period may be unpaid, and it must be given in employee no later than 5 hours after beginning work. So that's the state statute. It's 20 minutes for 7.5 hours.
Okay, isn't the theory of working lunch, the guy skips his lunch and takes off early for the day? That's why they're only doing 8 hours for the day. So he said their hours are 7 to 3. So if you take your lunch by the statute, they should be taking their lunch around noon. But my understanding of working lunch informally, my informal understanding is that a guy skips his lunch and gets to leave early. Is that what's happening or not?
No, actually, I don't think that there's no policy. What it sounds like to me, at least in discussion, that there is no policy set forth on how long an individual can take a lunch and what have you. So I think that should be a policy. I mean, something down, whether it's paid or not paid, at least there's an actual policy. So if it's an unpaid, then most assuredly that it's probably extend the working day 20 minutes.
Right.
I have no problem doing a 20-minute paid lunch. I mean, I don't have that. I do have an issue if they're going to be working 8 hours on any given day, that they take a whole hour off. I mean, but I don't know, or I won't even make that accusation that they are. I have no working knowledge of that whatsoever. So
I do not believe, gentlemen, that that's happening.
no, and I don't. Neither do I. But we still should have something as a policy so that the employees know. Other thoughts?
I guess I have to ask you, because you've been around here, you've been an employee and been a part of this when this came about.
I was in the police department.
Larry, that doesn't make any difference. You were an employee at the time and you weren't unionized or anything back then. So you were a part of this too in some way. You know, you've been here long enough to know, you've been here a long time. And at one time there was a policy and a manual that set down that, you're going to take so much time off for lunch and everything.
That's correct. The only thing that I can tell you is when I said I was in the police department, I can remember that the Department of Labor came in here several years ago and went through time cards, and I was clocking out for lunch. So they asked, who's the officer that's on duty when you clock out for lunch? And I said, there isn't one. I'm it. And they're like, no, a police officer does not clock out for lunch. He's always subject to call. That's why I'm answering you the way I am. So it's a different scenario. Yes, I was here when this took place, but there again, I believe that that was maybe Trent Smith that might have allowed this or created this policy. If you want a policy that states that they have to clock out, take a 30-minute lunch, then we can establish that policy if that's what the city council wants.
Well, it sounds like they need different policy for different departments, because a police working lunch sounds reasonable. You want the guy available all the time. And so he should be paid if he's available. But in the other departments, not picking on any one person, if you're during an 8-hour day, you're doing a half-hour lunch. And even a half hour is going to add up if you're paying the guy for his lunch. So either the day needs to be extended by 20 minutes or a half hour or whatever the lunch is going to be. So they actually sit down, eat, and rest.
Right, but I stated clock out. If you want to create a policy that they clock out, take a half-hour lunch, and then clock back in. So then that half-hour time frame, if they need to go and run an errand, they can, because they would be on their own time.
I mean, I'm trying to think of any job where a person's paid for their lunch, other than a secretary or an office worker, you know, who's actually sitting at their desk doing stuff while they're working. So, you see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, yeah. And they probably,
And I think
they may be sitting at their desk, but they probably wouldn't be doing any work. They might be, maybe somewhat, but they just kick back and can take a break
Right.
and turn away from it for a while.
It's obviously something we need to figure out and work.
Yes, I think so.
Well, I don't think that we need to set the policy. I think the city manager will set the policy. I think that a policy needs to be set in place, and I would
I
like
think
to
you
know.
need to present us with a policy that needs to be set, you know.
Agree,
But we do set the policy, because we vote on it.
agree, but we're not the ones that I think that are going to come up with the policy, so.
We could.
I would recommend that we have a policy in place.
I'll
And
bring you
if
something
you could
back
present
next
something,
meeting.
yeah, if you could present something back to us, something that,
And it might need to be unique to the department too, because each department has different needs.
Well, it will not cover the police department because they have
Like
union
that,
contracts.
Right.
Whatever we come up with, it's the same, maybe the police officer.
But I mean, if the electric company gets called off their lunch to service a line, then we need to account for that kind of thing. That's sorry, I'm rambling.
Oh, I think you do have to take that into consideration. You know, if there's an emergency that comes up and they have to be called off of it or whatever, they have to consider that.
we'd appreciate a policy
Okay.
being brought back, so. Very good. Any other non-agenda items? When will Main Street be closed off, Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
I got a couple things here when we get
Can I interrupt Mac here real quick? City Hall will close for the funeral, and we'll reopen as soon as possible afterwards so that the City Hall employees can attend the funeral.
But what day is that?
That's on Thursday. I believe that the service is at 11.
Here next door?
Yes.
All right.
I'm sorry, Mac.
Oh, that's all right. The house on John Street that we were approached by at the last meeting, I've been driving by that quite often. Now, is he telling us that this is done?
No, that's not what he's told. Well, I don't know what he's told you at the last.
The way I understood it was that he thinks he has done everything he needs to do.
He stated that he met all the requirements
Yes.
at the last meeting.
You made it sound a lot better than it actually looks.
It doesn't look good. Unfortunately, the way that the lawsuit is spelled out, it doesn't say that the window has to be permanently repaired, so he has put a window up against a window, so he's enclosed the structure. The house obviously needs a roof. I toured the house today. I went inside the house. He's going to spend a lot of money there to make this thing work. He's got a tarp on the back, but there again, he's enclosed the roof. Critters can't go in, so Right now, I don't know. It's in the hands of the judge, fellas. It's the only thing I can tell you.
This is how I look at that. We were giving this gentleman a chance. We all know that we were leery about doing this. This is not what we, at least what I want. And it's not what these people out here want.
We have not let up on our pursuit to have the house demolished in any way.
Right.
So what we said was do what we can to work with them, so.
Yes.
He seemed to have gotten pretty upset, at least in some of the conversations that I had, that we were.
The next day, I drove by that and we had trash bags to the ceiling of that porch. He had no reason to get upset with
I didn't
us.
know, well, I didn't know that.
He explained himself on it in his defense. He did explain himself. He's going to clean out the house itself, and I've got to get the trash man there to get everything picked up. And I just say that's just what he quoted here, because you weren't here last time, were you?
Yeah.
Were you here last meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what he's, you know.
I can
That's
tell
what
you,
I
gentlemen, his plan was to fill our dumpsters, that garbage was going to lay there and fill the dumpsters, and I put him on speakerphone so Sandy got to listen to the conversation, and I told him that it's not fair to the community to clean out that one house and fill the dumpsters when dumpsters is for the entire use of everybody.
Well, I heard rumor of that.
And so he's hauled all that garbage out. I was afraid maybe he threw it back inside. The inside of the house does not have any garbage in it. Not that we have any control over the inside of the house, but he wanted to prove that point to me. There's some small metal items out on the terrace that he says the junk van's coming by to get. There's some old cabinetry out back that he's getting rid of. I don't know what the outcome's going to be. Everything's always in the hands of the judge. So
Didn't we put a timeline on this?
Right now, the timeline is based on what the judge says.
Okay.
there's a court appearance on the 5th
The 5th,
this week.
we need lots of pictures of it.
The lawyer is aggressively pursuing
Because
this.
this is not what I want, it's not what they want.
I appreciate you bringing that up. Other non-agenda items. John Street. Have you spoke to the Chamber of Commerce about, they have the farmers market? They have a group from St. Joe, a winery, that's wanting to, I believe, give out samples. Could you touch base with Jonathan on that and what that would look like? I know that they were interested. It sounded like, I don't know, an interesting idea. But I think that was the only thing that I had. Oh, the Summers tree down the street. They had contacted me wanting to know anything about the tree. Could you?
I had, yeah, I'll have to follow up on that because I had Ryan Cox go look at it and he talked to them, so I don't know what he had ever decided with that. So
Okay.
What's the Summers tree?
the Summers that live down on Clinton Avenue, the tree is split. It's out on the city right of way, and they're wanting something done with it. We've got a tree up on North John that has a large split in it too, and unfortunately it's out on the city. So that tree comes down, it's coming down on a house.
When we have places like Cox do the tree service, is that competitively bid, or is he just our guy?
No, we go to Fryman and use Fryman as well, out of Wapella. So we're not stuck on one particular guy.
Any other non-agenda items, other business? Entertain motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Follow.
McKinley,
Yes.
Testori,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
motion carried.